What is up, guys? T-Man here, and today I'm bringing you my team report from the Oceania and LATAM International Championships. So, obviously, I am using a very similar team to what I used in London, and I do have the team report up on that, so you guys can go check that out if you want to, since I'm not going to be going too much into exactly how the team works, but I'm mostly going to be talking about the changes that I made to the team and maybe kind of like my decision-making process behind it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm actually going to start off here with our Pelipper. So, Pelipper really hasn't changed too much. The main thing that changed was I switched from Scald to Brine. And the reason why I did this was because having most of the P2s take a Hydro Vortex plus a Scald was actually pretty annoying. Since the only way for me to beat Trick Room then, if Trick Room goes up, is I have to do stuff like abuse my own Muck or reset the Trick Room with my Porygon 2. So being able to knock out the P2 is very important to me, and I actually found out that Brine was probably the best way to do this, since I can kind of just Hydro Vortex the Porygon 2. And for those who don't know what Brine does, Brine is a 65 base power water move. And what it'll do is it'll double base power if the target that you're targeting is below 50% health. So if we Hydro Vortex our Porygon 2, we'll do around 60% to the bulkier ones, and then whereas Scald will probably do around 30 in that situation. They get Trick Room up, we can just go for Brine, and doubled up to 130 base power that almost always picks up a knockout. So very useful to have. In Melbourne, it actually really didn't come into play that much because I played a lot of Gigalith in Melbourne, and it kind of messes up a bunch of the calcs if you don't have rain up all the time. So it was kind of lacking in Melbourne. I actually almost thought about switching back to Scald, but after seeing how good Brine was in Brazil, I'm absolutely happy that I made a change to it. And I still think it's probably the best move to run in that slot, since if you go for double ups with Golduck and Pelipper, if you Scald something twice and it doesn't do 50% with the first Scald, then you weren't going to pick up a knockout anyways unless some like crazy roll happened, because Pelipper and Golduck both have a base 95 special attack, so they hit off the same exact special attack stat. It's not like one's going to do more damage than the other. So if we're going to do over 50% anyways, Brine will still pick up a knockout. If not, Golduck can just fire off a Scald of its own. The other really cool part about it is that you have so many like high power damaging options on the team in Tapu Koko's Thunder and Buzzwole Superpower, and then of course Hydro Vortex from Golduck. So there are a lot of situations where you can find your opponent below 50% health just by going with one of those moves first. Alright, so moving on into our Golduck. The main change from the Golduck was that I added a lot of bulk to it. So in London, I was actually like rushing to make the team last minute, and I didn't really think about all of my options, and I definitely should have been running more bulk on the London version of the team. I think I mentioned this in the last video as well, that I definitely would have done that. And the bulk, as you see here, allows us to take Psychic from Tapu Lele that does not carry a boosting item. So as long as it's not Life Orb or Specs, we can take it. So whether it be Psyche MZ that just is not using the Z move, or like a Choice Scarf Tapu Lele, we can take the Psychic from that. And it's mostly just like general bulk, since it's not something that comes into play too often. It did come into play a few times in Brazil, so that was pretty cool. And then on stream against Sekium in Melbourne, so having that's pretty cool. I still see no reason to change the moveset, because Scald is probably the most used move on the set, because I'm not too much of a fan of having to risk the Hydro Pump accuracy. If I have to go for it, I definitely will, but Hydro Pump is mostly on the set to boost the base power of Wotarium Z, so getting our big Hydro Vortex off is pretty important. The only thing I want to notice about Golduck is the fact that our speed stat, it's 124 speed, which hits, I believe, 121 speed stat. Let's double check. Yeah, 121 speed stat. And what that allows us to do is outspeed Adamant Scarf Kartana. Since the only thing you're really missing with the speed there is a bunch of the random Scarf Mons, or potentially some of the Drifloon variants, though if they're running Sunny Day, most of them are running Timid to outspeed Modest max speed Golduck anyways, so That's not something that really should come into play too often. It's just a random Scarf Mons, and we still outspeed Adam's Scarf Kartana. So whether it be Timid Scarf Kartana or Jolly Scarf Kartana or like Tapu Koko, like those are the only things that are going to be outspeeding you at that point. So it's not so much of a big deal. Moving on into Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko has remained absolutely the same. I still see zero reason to change it. Thunder is the entire reason why I think Rain works. I think that Thunder being able to push for knockouts wherein usual Tapu Kokos cannot is still such a huge part of running the team. Being able to knock out Tapu Fini without having to have a Electric Train up is also really, really huge when you have two Water type attackers that are generally not going to be touching the Fini otherwise. So generally just a really, really strong Mon. Volt Switch is still incredibly useful because you can Volt Switch into Muk instead of Trick Room, into Buzzwole instead of Trick Room, as well as using Volt Switch to kind of get Pelipper off the field so you can reset Rain if you are playing an opposing weather matchup. So nothing really has changed with Tapu Koko. I still don't see any reason to, and it's probably been the most important Mon on the team so far, just because of how good Thunder is. Porygon 2, so as you'll see here, I actually have the Return Toxic set. This is the set that I ran in Melbourne. I think this is not the optimal set, and we'll go switch to the other one right now. It is the Thunderbolt Ice Beam set, and I'm actually running Analytic. So in Melbourne and in Brazil, I have not been bringing P2 a lot at all. This is probably the most expendable slot on the team if you wanted to switch up like the team at all and like put something else in place. I think Porygon 2 is probably the slot that you would look at, mostly because we generally don't want to go into Trick Room too much, and against opposing Trick Room teams, we're either trying to deny it with Pelipper Golduck or maybe abuse it with our Muk. So Porygon 2 really not too helpful in that regard. In Melbourne, I had it on the team for Toxic essentially, and then like a little bit of extra damage output from Return, since I brought it mostly like Tapu Lele matchups where it's like if I played against Trick from Lele, I just lead Tapu Koko and Porygon 2, and they'd be fearing a Trick Room and a Volt Switch, so they'd almost always taunt in a game 1 onto Porygon 2. You could just double in with a Return and a Volt Switch and almost always pick the knockouts. So that was okay. Really wasn't too stellar. So after having so much trouble with Gyarados at Melbourne, I lost to Ben Kiriaku in top 8. I decided to go with Thunderbolt and then with Ice Beam as well. Analytic was actually pretty important, because what Analytic lets us do is if Gyarados comes in after the Porygon 2, then likely we did not get a special attack boost. So in those games, or even if you just bring P2 on the Gyarados, you're not going to get a special attack boost. So without Electric Train on the field, you're not going to pick up a knockout, which is really, really important, since Gyarados can be such a huge problem for this team. And having Analytic lets us pick the knockout as long as Porygon 2 is the last thing to move on the field. And on my team, there's nothing that outspeeds my Porygon 2, so they'd have to have something on their side of the field that underspeeds my Porygon 2 next to their Gyarados, and as long as it's like a Dragon Dance boosting Gyarados, there really shouldn't be too much slower Mons on the field next to it. The other cool thing that Analytic does is lets us pick up knockouts on Garchomp more consistently with Ice Beam. Again, similar situations, as long as there's nothing that underspeeds Porygon 2, so the Porygon 2 is the last thing to move on the field, then we'll be picking up those nice knockouts on Garchomp. And it's something that Will Tansley, that's StarKO, who's also top 2 internationals so far, so he suggested this to me, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. So I think Thunderbolt Ice Beam is definitely the best set right now. Toxic is really, really cool because it lets us beat things like Goodra, which could be a little bit troublesome, or even Gastrodon in some situations, which I don't necessarily think you need Toxic to beat Gastrodon, because Muk and Buzzwole do such a good job of beating it anyways. But if you do need it, Toxic can help in a lot of matchups, so definitely a lot of things you can play around with the Porygon 2 slot, just whatever you're most comfortable with. Muck. The only thing that's changed with the Muck has been the Speed IV. So, a lot of people have been telling me, oh, you can drop Curse for other things. I know Gavin's been trying to make me run Gunk Shot, but I definitely think Curse is the best move in that slot. You win a lot of games just off of cursing, and it's been very, very, very strong. Curse is not only used as like a trick room answer, it's just a win con in general. If you start cursing up a bunch, and teams just can't handle the Muck can just kind of run over teams. And depending on if you're able to take out enough threats to the Muck early, like if you take out guard chomps, then you can maybe let Muck do a lot more things in the late game. You have Ice Beam on Golduck, and you have Ice Punch on Buzzwole to get there. So it's pretty cool. The 13 Speed IV on the Muck. What this allows us to do is underspeed Arachnid after a curse, since usually you'll curse and then you'll outspeed the Arachnid, or like you'll be slower than Porygon 2. Like it's generally one of the two. So by having the 13 Speed IV, we're at like 62, 63 speed, which means that we're going to be outspeeding Porygon 2 that are min speed, and then after we do curse, we will outspeed the Arachnids in Trick Room. So that's really, really important, since that allows us to either Poison Jab the Arachnid, or if like we're feeling like a Hydro Vortex, we can go for a second curse just to get our defenses back up. But overall, Muck's just been a really, really good part of the team. It's very, very good at beating the other Tapus, and yeah, it's just very, very consistent mod on the team, and I don't see much reason to change it. There has been talk about maybe switching it for Snorlax, since the team just really needs to be a mon that helps against opposing Trick Room matchups and can also like function on its own. I just appreciate having the switch into Tapu Lele Shattered Psyche a little bit more. So I'll probably be keeping Muck for now, but it's definitely a style that you could potentially play with if you really want to. And now the Buzzwole. I think Buzzwole was one of the more important changes to the team that I made, since of course this was a Tapu Bulu in London. And when I was thinking about running this team for Melbourne, I was going to run, still the Bulu, but Content the Crush was doing so much to me, and Bulu kind of needed to get in the right position to actually beat the Gigalith, since the thing with Tapu Bulu is so many things in the format hit super effectively, so getting into situations where Tapu Bulu can actually beat the Gigalith was actually a lot harder than I anticipated. So switching to Buzzwole, what that allowed me to do is, I think Buzzwole is like one of the more like problem Pokemon in the format that not a lot of people actually like are like respecting enough, because there's a lot of matches you can just go in and Buzzwole only has one or two threats that it has to deal with on the opposing team, and it takes hits very, very well from the rest of the team. So being able to beat Gigalith was the main reason why I had it on the team in the first place, but there's a lot of matches where you can just bring it to, and it just can take over games, since Ice Punch gives us a lot more consistency against Garchomp. I think we take 30% from Tectonic Rage, which is insane, and then we're able to just fire back with an Ice Punch. Most of the time picking up a knockout. Sometimes they're a little bit bulkier and you miss the knockouts, but like I said, you're not taking too much damage in the process, so it's not that much of a big deal. Poison Jab is there for the Tapus, and against Koko you're doing like 75%. Against Feeny you're doing somewhere between like 45-55. So as long as you know like what your damage output is going to be against these kind of things, you can kind of plan for it accordingly, get the appropriate chip damage that you need. So like Porygon 2 can always just Ice Beam or Thunderbolt to Tapu Koko, and that'll almost always put it into range of Poison Jab. So that was really, really cool. And then Buzzwole is really, really good against most of the Tapu Bulu teams, because the way that most of the Tapu Bulu teams are built, they actually don't have a lot to do with the Buzzwole. I know that I was playing against Wolf in Melbourne, and then I do believe I played one Tapu Bulu in Brazil, but I forget off the top of my head. And essentially what you can do is kind of just, like those teams have something like an Arcanine, and then special attackers, and if it's not a special attacker if the special attacker isn't hitting Buzzwole super effectively, then it's only doing around 40% most likely. And with Leech Life you can get health back. With Poison Jab you threaten Bulu, Ice Punch threatens Garchomp on those kind of teams. There's often either like a P2 or Gigalith, which is superpower. So uh, just as a mon that can take a lot of hits and hit a lot of the formats super effectively is very, very, very cool. And I think it's been kind of necessary to make the changes to keep the team functioning in the format. But Buzzwole is definitely a really, really strong Pokemon, and I'm really, really happy to have run it so far. So that's really it for the changes, guys. If you like the team, of course, I will be posting the QR code in the description. I also did a write-up of the team, and not only the team, but the matches from Brazil. And that's up on Trainer Tower already. You guys can definitely go take a look at that. That'll also be down in the description. I should be getting some more episodes of Chase the Championship out this week. The Multi-Battle League has been announced. It is starting. We had our draft already, and you can look for that on the channel with me and my partner Joshua Lorsi, and that should be an absolute blast. But otherwise, thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.